Good morning. I'm reading another chapter of Joan Grant's Winged Pharaoh. She published it in 1937. I have put a little shawl there because this is a Velux window, so it hasn't got any curtains. And it was very bright and my phone got very hot in the last chapter 3. This is the story of Sakita. She co-rules Calm in ancient Egypt with her brother. This is a Joan Grant farm memory book, and this plays, the story is from the time before the flood and about 5,000 years after Atlantis fell. So legend has it, and she describes the life there very, very well. We are now in chapter 4, and she is visiting Minoan, the land of where the love of her life really came from, but they are not together. She has a daughter, Chiquia, who must be 3 or 4 something now. She's with her brother in the palace of the king, and she describes here Minoan art. Just as the gods of the Minoans are different from ours, so are their paintings, their sculpture, their gardens, and their buildings. And it was not until I had been in their country for many days that I realized wherein the difference lay. In Calm, we see the order and pattern of the universe, wherein there is no chaos and no chance. The stars ploughed their allotted furrows across the sky. The corn springs from the seed, ripens, falls from the ear, and is reborn in a smooth cycle. Just as there is no stone that falls into water and makes no ripple, so there is no action, whether it is good or evil, that is not exactly balanced by the future that its presence creates. Not only the universe, not only our lives, but every grain of sand that is blown upon the wind is meticulously balanced with that unflawed justice, which to us is symbolized by the great scales of Tahuti. Our innate knowledge of this unbroken rhythm is reflected in all things that we create, to symbolize the form in which we see beauty walking upon earth. The two opposite sides of our room are reflections each of the other. If there's a window upon one side, then there cannot be a window upon the other. We paint its semblance upon the wall, not because we wish it to be thought that the painting is a real window, but because it shows that we realize that beauty is the twin sister of the poison scales. A plucked lotus has lost half its beauty, for when it floats upon a clear pool, the flower and its reflection unite in balanced harmony. It is this harmony that we strive to achieve in our gardens. If there is one pomegranate tree upon the left hand of a pool, then shall its brother be upon the right hand. If the red lilies of Ptah grow by the left-hand wall, then shall their reflection grow by the wall opposite. We see the present as the reflection of the past, or as that which creates a reflection in the future. Only thus can the present be seen in its entirety, for if one sees only one side of a balance, it is without meaning and cannot fulfill its purpose. We know that beauty is permanent, and that, being permanent, it is beyond the confines of the 5 senses of the body, and can be apprehended only by the spirit. We do not paint a frieze in a fashion that is expected to convince the eye that what it sees is not a painting of a man, but the man himself. But our drawing scribes record those things that they hope will stir the spirit of the beholder, so that he can recreate with his inward vision that which the scribes saw with his spirit. Just as writing signs convey words which convey thought, which conveys an image seen in the writer's mind, so do our pictures pass on what the painter has not only through his eyes, but in his heart. If our painting scribes wish to record the beauty of a garden, they do not depict it as their eyes see it, for to create an illusion of reality is to create only an illusion. No one can sit in the shade of a painted tree, though every leaf were faithfully portrayed. And a flower, however beautifully drawn, can give forth no scent, except of the plaster on which it has been lined. But just as the corn springs from dry seeds, so does the drawing scribe plant the seeds of thought. His pool is a square space marked with waterlines, and if it harbors lotuses or fish, they too are shown. His trees are formalized and show where they are placed and what kind of fruit or flowers they bear. And in the mind of the beholders these seeds of thought shall grow, until he can hear the wind stirring the leaves, see the fish flicking in the lotus shade, taste the pomegranate juice cool upon his tongue, and find contentment in this garden living in his mind. We do not carve a statue so that men should think there is breath in the stone nostrils. We do not carve each vein and muscle or the texture of the skin, for the exact weaving of the body is unimportant. But our great sculptors are lively of spirit, and they can convey the spirit that inhabits the body of the man whose semblance they record in stone. Just as a reed reflects a reed in the water, so does the spirit of a sculptor reflect the spirit of the man he carves. And this quality of our art can be seen at its highest in the statue of the great Menace, which is alight with his justice and his courage, and the wisdom and compassion of my father lives on in granite. In Minoan I saw statues carved with two kinds of vision. There were those that were but reflections of the body, each curve of the muscle, the fold of the eyelids, and the fine cord of vein at wrist and elbow were rendered as though the flesh had been turned to stone, yet they were like a lovely corpse that had forgotten the spirit that had once housed it. And there were those statues where the soul had been reflected by the soul of the sculptor, and looking upon them one could say, this man was greedy, this man was over fond of gold, this woman was sly, and that one riotous in love. Yet of none of them could one say he had long thoughts, he had compassion, or he was strong in spirit. And in their paintings there was the same lack of the significance of the spirit. At first, when I looked upon a frieze of dancing girls, it seemed that if I turned my eyes away from them, they would move and their thin draperies flutter in the wind. And then I found that they were but a shallow pretense of dancing girls. They were not as real as the shadows of reality upon a wall. Their image could not conjure up the sound of pipes, nor could their garlands bring back the fleeting scent of flowers. They were but empty shells in whose swift bodies blood had never caused. They had never loved or sorrowed, for their spirit was paint, and their universe was stone. In Minoan they rejoice in the beauty of their bodies, yet even in this they are different from the people of calm, for to us a body is beautiful, not only for the shaping of the shell, but also because of the spirit that inhabits it. We put malachite upon our eyelids and wear fine linen as a man might build a beautiful pavilion as a background to the woman he loves. But here men love a body for itself alone, and it is as though they were strewn herbs on the floor of an empty house, where dust would lie forever undisturbed by any living feet. Yet they are happy in their youth, and try to explain our ways of thought to them, whereas if one tries to tell a newborn kitten, content to suckle in its mother's warmth, of the things it would see when its eyes were opened. Wow, she's quite amazing. I hope you enjoyed that. That was chapter 4. I'm going to read these chapters separately because I have to let them sink in. They are lessons for all of us.